Hello and welcome back to part 2 of your crochet mystery make-along with Hobby and myself, Katie Jones. I hope you enjoyed the first part and are excited to see what we're making this week. Don't worry though if you're still working on your first instalment. The patterns are released each week, but you can work along at your own pace. This week we're going to be making our second smaller block. Say hello to our diagonal block. For our crochet diagonal blocks, our sizing, like in part 1, is done by the size of the square. This is our size 1, which is 8 centimetres, size 2, which is about 9.5 centimetres, and size 3, where we're aiming for 11 centimetres. After you've made one square, you want to double check the size of your square, to check your tension and to make sure you're working to the right size. I also like to, now we've got 2 parts, and this is an example on size 1, just line up and make sure our square is the same as our first part, as these should be able to fit together nicely. When working our diagonal squares, we're going to be first working in our block colour and working one half. So we make a separate half, and then to this, we're going to join our contrast colour and work our second colour, turning our rows into rounds and making a full block. For size 1, we're going to be working 4 rows. For size 2, we're going to be working 5. And for size 3, we're going to be working 6. This block is our most repeated element in our design, so we have 48 of these to make in total. I know that sounds a lot, but don't worry, you don't need all of these completed till we get to part 4. So I'm now going to take you step by step through your diagonal blocks. So grab your yarn and your hook, and this is just a reminder I'm working in US terms. To start our first half, you're going to want to take your first yarn. I'm going to start off by doing a slip knot, so coming around, taking the yarn and placing that on our hook. We're going to start off by doing a chain of 4. So take our yarn, we're going to do 1 chain, 2 chains, 3 chains, 4, and we're going to join this with a slip stitch to make this a little loop. So we're going to put our first stitch on our hook, hold this, and then do our slip stitch, so wrap around and pull through everything, because we're going to be working in to this central loop. So now we want to come out of our central loop. So we're going to do a chain of 3. We're going to go 1, 2, 3. And this very first bit is very similar to when we were starting our block stitch granny square. But we're now going to want to do a double crochet. So we're going to wrap around, we're going to work into that central loop, going to come in. I'm going to grab our yarn, pull through, so we've got 3 on our hook, wrap around, pull through 2, wrap around, pull through 2. I'm now going to work 2 more double crochets, so I'm going to wrap around into that loop, pull through to the front, got my 3, wrap, pull through 2, wrap, pull through 2. I'm going to do 1 more, so come around into that central loop, grab my yarn, got 3, wrap, pull through 2, wrap, pull through 2. So this is our first side of our triangle. I'm now going to do 2 chain, so 1 chain, 2 chain, and this makes our central point of our triangle and our corner. And I'm now going to come round and I'm going to do 4 double crochets in that central loop. So we're going to do 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, 3 double crochets, 4 double crochets. And this is our very first row of our triangle and our first half. So we're now going to work my row 2. And so for row 2, I'm going to turn my work, because for this piece we're not working in rounds, we're working in rows. So I've turned, so this is now the wrong side of my work. And now I'm going to chain 3 to get my height and to act as a fake double crochet. So 1, 2, 3. And we're now going to double crochet between the stitches, and we're going to put 1 double crochet between each stitch. So I'm going to come round, I'm going to double crochet between my first one, and then I'm going to do double crochet in the next one, and double crochet between the next 2. We've now got to our corner. So in our corner space here, we're going to work 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 double crochets. So we're going to come round, my first double crochet, my second double crochet, and now I'm ready to do my 2 chains. So I'm going to work 1 chain, 2 chains for the corner, and then I'm going to come round and work 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet. We're now ready to work back along this edge. So I'm going to place 1 double crochet between each of the stitches. So I'm going to wrap my first double crochet between the stitches, my second double crochet between the stitches, and my third double crochet between the stitches. And now to make sure we've got the same amount of stitches as this first side, we're going to do 1 final double crochet, and we're going to work that into the top of this stitch here. So this is, we want to make sure that we're in the very top, so it's the 3rd chain. I'm going to come into that stitch. If it's tight with your hook, you can use the point to get in there. I'm going to work a double crochet into that space, which will line us up. And that's the end of your row 2. We're now going to work on row 3, so we want to turn our work. We're going to chain our 3 to get our height and to act as our first fake double crochet. So 1, 2, 3. And from this 3rd row, we're now going to work 2 double crochets in that first space. So after the 2nd row, we only worked 1 double crochet in the first space below. But from row 3 and upwards, if you're doing size 2 or size 3, you're going to always want to work 2 stitches in that first space. So we're going to wrap around and we're going to come in, we're going to do our first double crochet, and then we're going to do a 2nd double crochet in that space now. And then we're going to go back to doing 1 double crochet between each of the stitches along. Until we get to our corner space. Now we've got to our corner, we're going to do 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 double crochets in this space. So we come in, my first double crochet, 2nd double crochet, now ready to do my 2 chain in my corner, then turn along the other side. I'm going to work 2 double crochet, 1, 2, and then I'm going to work 1 double crochet between each space until my last space. So we're going to come in, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 3 double crochet, 4 double crochet. And now we've got to the last space. We're going to work 2 double crochets in that last space. So we go our first one, second. And now we're doing our final double crochet of the row, and we're going to work into the top of that stitch here. So we're working up, so we're going to come round. I'm going to go into the top. So we're in line with our crochet. Don't worry if it's a bit tight. Okay. In there. And do our final double crochet of the row. We're now going to work on our fourth row, so we're going to turn the work again. And we're now going to start off. So we're going to start off again with our 3 chain. So we've got 1, 2, 3. And now, because we're after our third row, we're on our fourth row, we want to work 2 double crochets in that first space again. So we're coming in, we're going to work our first one, and then our second one of the pair. And then we're ready to go back to working 1 double crochet between each of your stitches until we get to the corner space. In the corner space, we're going to work again our 2 double crochets, 2 chain, 2 double crochets. My first double crochet, my second double crochet, and my 2 chains, 1, 2. I'm going to turn. We're working down this edge now, so I've got 2 double crochets in that corner, 1, 2. And then along the edge, I'm going to work 1 double crochet in between each of my stitches until that final space between my last stitch. In that final space, I'm going to work 2 double crochets again. So I've got my first one, my second one, and then I'm going to do a double crochet in the top of that last stitch. So I'm going to come round in the top, work my final double crochet. And that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. I'm showing you on the size 1, which is 4 rows. If you're working on the size 2, you'll increase that to 5, and if you're working on the size 3, you'll do 6 rows, following the same pattern. So I'm now going to fasten off this side, and then I'm ready to join my second side. So I'm going to do an extra stitch. And when we fasten off, we want to make sure we fasten off with a long tail, because we'll be using this to join our work later. So for the size 1, I want to leave 15 centimeters. So I'm going to leave a long tail. I'm going to get my scissors and snip. And I'm going to pull that through. And you want to make sure that you're doing the length of tail that's given to you in the pattern, because this will change for each size. So we're now ready to start our second half. So now we've finished our first part, and we've worked this one, which is in our main colour. We're now going to introduce our second part and bring in our contrast colours. So I'm going to take my new yarn, and I'm going to start with it on my hook. So I'm going to do a slip knot, so I come round, grab that yarn, pull it through. I'm going to start that on my hook. We're going to be joining in as we go and building off this block. So we're going to work on our second side. I'm going to start by doing a single crochet join, and I'm going to join in at the top of the last double crochet. So this is where we started. This was my first row on part 1. My last double crochet is here, and I'm going to join in at the top of that stitch with a single crochet join. So to do that, I want to come in to the top of that stitch, my yarn on my hook, I'm going to grab that yarn from behind, pull it through to the front, so I've got 2 loops on my hook, then wrap around and pull through both. And that joins us with a single crochet join. We're now going to work on our first row, and we're going to work into that central loop. So I'm going to want to do 4 double crochets. So I'm going to wrap around into that central loop, come through, do my first double crochet, do my second double crochet, my third double crochet, and then my 4th double crochet. And now I'm ready to work my corner. So we're going to do 2 chains, 1, 2. Then I'm going to come back into that central loop and work 4 double crochets. So 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, 3 double crochets, and my final 4th double crochet. We now need to anchor and join this to our first side. So I'm going to join again with a single crochet, and I'm going to work in the top of that stitch. So it's my 3rd chain up. I'm working into the top stitch, and you can see where it is because it's where you've joined in here. So it's the stitch there. We're going to go in and we're going to join with a single crochet. And so that completes our first row joined in with our first side, the first row of our second side. We now need to get our height, so we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then we need to anchor again on our first side. So I'm going to join in that top stitch. So we're going to come in here, through, and I'm going to work 1 single crochet to join. And that's travelled me up. I'm now going to turn my work. So we're going to turn our work. Turn our work, and then we're going to work back along our second row. So I'm going to work 1 double crochet between each of my stitches. So I'm going to come in and work 1 double crochet between each of my stitches until I get to the corner. And then in my corner chain space, I'm going to work 2 double crochets, 2 chain, 2 double crochets. Come in, my first double crochet, my second double crochet. Then I'm going to do 2 chains, 1, 2 for my corner, come around, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet. I'm now going to work along this edge, working 1 double crochet between each of my stitches. One double crochet, 2 double crochet, 3 double crochets. And now to line up, after I've worked in between the last stitch, I'm going to do my final double crochet in the top of this stitch. So I'm going to come round and work my final double crochet into the top of the last stitch here. Get my height, and now I'm ready to anchor it by doing a single crochet at the top. So we're going to join in. You see this top stitch here, I'm going to join in by doing our single crochet. So in the stitch, pull through, and then wrap and pull through both. And you can now see that we've worked 2 rows, completing 2 rounds. We're now going to work up and onto our third, so I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and I'm going to single crochet anchor in this last stitch up here, so where I joined in, into the stitch, work my single crochet. Now I'm ready to turn my work. Now we're going to work along on row 3. So now I've got this lined up and on the right side, I'm going to work across. But now, because we've got to row 3, we want to follow the same rule as the first part. So in between that first space, instead of just doing 1 double crochet, I'm going to work 2. So I'm going to work 2 double crochets between that first stitch. So my first, and then my second, and then I'm ready to do 1 double crochet between the next stitches until I get to my corner chain space. So 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 3 double crochet, 4. In my corner chain space, I'm going to again work 2 double crochet, 2 chain, 2 double crochet, 1, 2, 2 chain, 1, 2, put 2 more double crochets in my corner, and then I'm going to work back across until I get to my last space. So again, your last space is your space between your stitches on this second row, not the gap in between. So I'm going to work along 1 double crochet between each of my stitches until I get to this last space. In that last space, again, we're going to work 2 double crochets in this space. So my first one, and then my second one. And I'm going to work my final double crochet of this row into the top of that single crochet join. So I'm going to work that final double crochet into that single crochet join. And then I'm ready to anchor it at the top of its matching round. So I've got row 3, and I'm going to join to make that a full round. So I'm going to come into that space where we've joined, and I'm going to join with a single crochet. To complete my third row and finish that round. Because I'm making a size 1, I'm now going to be working on my 4th and final row. If you're making size 2 or you're making size 3, you're going to want to repeat the same pattern as we did for that third row. So remembering between the first 2 stitches to do 2 double crochets and then carry on with 1 double crochet between. The final row of your square is slightly different to get our corner shaping. So I'm now going to show you your final row, and I'm showing you on a size 1. So to get our final row and start off, and this is my 4th row, I'm going to chain up 2. So the same as I was doing before, but we now want to create a slight more space in our corner. So I'm going to do a double crochet, and I'm actually going to work that into the top of that final stitch. This creates a longer join, and you can now see we've got more of a corner space on the last row of our part 2. So I'm now going to turn, and I'm going to work my way across the edge. So I'm going to follow the same rule. So I'm going to work 2 double crochets in that first space, 1, 2, and then I'm going to work 1 double crochet between each of the stitches until I get to my corner. When I get to my corner, I'm going to do the corner shaping again. So we've got 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 double crochets in that space. 2, then 2 chain, 1, 2, and then work 2 more double crochets in that space. We're now ready to work along this final edge, and I'm doing 1 double crochet between each of the stitches until I get to that last space. In that last space between those stitches, I'm going to work 2 double crochets. I've got my first double crochet, my second double crochet, and now I'm ready to work my final double crochet, and that's going to work into the top of that single crochet join. So I'm going to come through that stitch, do my final double crochet, and now I want to create a similar space when I'm joining. So to fasten off, I'm going to first do 2 chains, so 1, 2, and then I'm going to join that with a slip stitch in the top of my stitch here. So if you look on your final row on side 1, I'm going to come up, and then the top of that stitch I'm going to join with a slip stitch, and then I'm ready to fasten off. So I do 1 extra stitch, take my scissors, snip. We don't need a really long end for this, but you want a short amount because we're going to use it to pinch in our corner. So we're going to snip, pull through, and now you can see we've joined up both side 1 and side 2 to make our diagonal block. You can use your crochet hook to just pull your ends through so they're on the back of your work. And there you have your diagonal block. Don't sew in your ends just yet, as we're going to be using some of these in the joining stage. I hope you've enjoyed working on the next part of your make along. And don't forget to share your progress by using the hashtags #NoShadesOfGreyMal, and also tagging any pictures with myself, Katie Jones Knit, and Hobby. We also have the Facebook group, which you can use for the make along, and share your make and your progress, your tips and tricks with other people in your crafty community working on the project. I hope you enjoy making this week, and I'll see you for our next part. Happy making, and I'll see you next week.